Welcome to the HMO Property Show, by investors for investors. Catch us weekly as we discuss all things cash flow positive property investing. Whether you're a seasoned investor, a new landlord, or just curious about property investing, this is the podcast for you. Sponsored by the Co-Living Collective, your trusted partner in creating vibrant and sustainable shared living experiences. Visit us at colivingcollective.com.au to learn more.
Welcome back to the HMO Property Show. I'm your host, Neil Gibb, and today I am going to do something a little bit different on the podcast. I have been doing what every other man and his dog seems to be doing at the minute when they get to a certain level of success, and some pride of actually having any success. But I've wrote a book, and it's going to be released probably later this year. And what I want to do today is just read one of the chapters to you. Don't worry, it's not going to be death by me just reading boring stuff to you. It's actually really, really interesting because there's a lot going on around the business right now. We've been having some really interesting conversations, and for the last probably 18 months now, we've been speaking to all sorts of different levels of investors, from our typical client base of mum and dad investors, which we love and we always will be very grateful for because they've helped us build the foundation of a very strong business, which has some incredible impact in the market. And then as we started sitting down as a team, and if you're not sure of how we run our business, what I did many years ago is I read a book called Scaling Up by Vern Harnish. And Vern Harnish talks about the rhythms of the business. And the rhythm of the business is you set a big, hairy, audacious goal. And our big, hairy, audacious goal, or BHAG, is 10,000 rooms by 2031 delivered to the market. And then what you do is you have a 90-day meeting. Every 90 days called a 90-day sprint. Or you have the meeting, and then you have your 90-day sprint after that meeting to make sure that you're on target to reach your goals of 10,000 rooms in 10 years, which was what ours was. And still is. So what we did is we were talking about the fact that we worked with mum and dad investors, and we drew a kind of graph on the chart, and we said if we keep going at the rate we are now, then we're never going to hit our 10,000 room target. In fact, we're going to be nowhere near. We'd be lucky if we hit like 3,500, 4,000, and ask better questions and get better answers. So one of the things I say to my team is, so how do we get more clients, more money to deliver more housing so we can help more people and have more impact? And the answer was we need to find more money, either partner with a bank or partner with a family office or partner with a pension fund or partner with any sort of institutional investors out there that we can actually find. So that meant that I then started knocking on doors and ringing lots and lots of family offices to try and find somebody with a big bag of money to say, there you go, Neil, go invest in that and a lot of co-living HMOs for me, so that they can make money, obviously, because that's why people invest, but more importantly, so as the social impact that it has to help more people get into clean, safe, affordable housing. And as I've been having these conversations, it prompted me to put this chapter in my book, because some of the conversations have been really interesting to hear the appetite for an asset class like we deliver to the market, which is yield focused, not capital growth focused, although we still get capital growth from these deals. But this section of the book is actually talking specifically about how retail and institutional investors view this style of housing. So the book's going to be out soon. If you want access to the book, I'm going to give you for free, for the people that are listening to this podcast, for supporting me for so long. What I want you to do to get access to the book is I want you to go to YouTube, subscribe on YouTube, and leave a comment underneath this specific episode telling me what you think about it. And if you don't like the episode, be honest. Honestly, you don't have to lie, but just leave me a comment there and subscribe to the YouTube channel for me. I would really, really appreciate that. And also, if you go to your podcast streaming platform, either that's Spotify or podcasts or whatever you listen to them on, go to the HMO Property Show, which is probably what you're listening this on to now. And at the very bottom, you will see ratings and reviews. If you can leave me a rating and a comment and take a screenshot of that and send it to me, I will send you a copy of the book for free for being a loyal listener to the show. So leave me a comment, take a screenshot, send it to me on any medium that you want. You can send me through Facebook, Instagram. If you've got my phone number, send it me direct, or you can take a screenshot and send it through email, neil@colivingcollective.com.au or neil@thehmopropertyco.com. And I will make sure we get a copy sent out to you when it is published, and that is hoping to be in the next 3 to 6 months at the very minimum. So the book is called Micro Apartment Millions, and this specific chapter is about, like I say, talking to institutional investors and creating an institutional grade portfolio. And if you aren't in the position to create an institutional grade portfolio, then how can you leverage a company like ours so that you could potentially get access to it? So this is chapter 14, retail versus institutional investing, the hidden opportunities in HMO. Let's talk about something that 99% of investors overlook: valuations. Not the kind where you hope that your house goes up in value because the bloke across the street just sold his 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom property for 850k and you think yours will sell for more because yours is better, obviously. We're talking about serious valuations, the kind of numbers that institutional investors use to determine what a cash-producing asset is actually worth. And here's the truth most investors miss. A co-living HMO isn't just a house. It's a commercial grade, income-generating machine. And once you see it that way, you will start playing a completely different game. So retail thinking versus institutional thinking. Most retail investors think about property like this: buy a house in a growth suburb, wait for the market to go up, sell or refinance and repeat. Now that is fine if you're happy hoping that the market does the heavy lifting. But the pros, the people with money, they think differently. They focus on cash flow, net return and asset yield. And most importantly, their valuations are based on income, not market comparables. And that's the game commercial investors play. And if you want to build a serious wealth in property, you need to play that game too. The commercial valuation formula. Institutional investors, super funds, family offices and pensions use a very simple formula. Asset value equals net income divided by cap rate. If your HMO produces $70,000 in net income with no mortgage and a buyer is happy with a 5% return, then that property will be worth $70,000 divided by 0.05, which is your 5% return, equals $1.4 million. Now, even if it only cost you $1 million to develop a 6-bedroom, 6-bathroom property that rents out and generates $70,000 after vacancy, property management fees and operating expenses, the moment the yield is established and it generates $70,000 per year, if a pension fund would pay 5% for that, then you've just created $400,000 in value. And you've done that without waiting for the market to go up in value. You've done that just by renting the rooms out for a certain figure that will generate a 5% return. Here's where it gets exciting. The power of rent growth over time. Let's say your HMO generates a 7% net return off a $1 million investment. That's $70,000 net rent per year, straight out the gate, and again with no mortgage. Now imagine your room rates grow at 5% per year. In 5 years, that same property is earning $89,270 of net rental income. Now, revalue that at a 5% cap rate, or sell the property at a 5% cap rate, 89,270 divided by 0.05 equals 1.785 million. That's just under $800,000 in created equity just from increasing the rent and holding the asset. Now, if that doesn't get you excited, then the next thing will. Because if you were involved somewhere that has 100 HMOs, 200 HMOs, 500 HMOs, this then becomes exciting to a pension fund. And some of the pension funds I've been speaking to have got different appetites at different scales of property portfolios. So 100 HMOs in 5 years' time, each producing $70,000 in year one. That is $7 million per year in net income across the portfolio. With 5% rent growth each year, here's what happens. Year one, $70,000. Property portfolio income with 100 HMOs, $7 million. Valuation at 5% cap rate, $140 million. I'm going to fast forward to year five. Year five is $85,000 and 86 from one property. Multiply that by 100 properties gives you $8.5 million, which gives you a valuation at a 5% cap rate of $170 million. So with no market booms, no renovations and no expansion, your 100 property portfolio increases in value by over $30 million in 5 years, purely through rental growth. This is how institutional players look at property. And this is how you should be thinking about it too. Because institutions don't want one-offs. Here's where the rubber hits the road. Super funds and family offices aren't going to buy your one HMO. They don't do piecemeal deals. Excuse me. They want bulk, consistency, professionally managed portfolios, and a proven operator managing the asset under one system. They want to deal with someone who can deliver 100, 200, 500 properties, not someone who's converted their investment home and slapped some locks on the doors. Why partnering with the right company matters. As mentioned, we've been in discussions with family offices and super fund backed buyers about this very opportunity. And you know what they tell us? We don't want one house. We want to buy a portfolio of 100, 200, and even 500 properties, all built and managed by one operator that we can trust. This is why working with and partnering with the right company with a big rent roll and a professional asset management system matters. Because a company like that becomes the gateway between retail investors like you and institutional grade investment capital like these guys. And if you're holding onto one of these high performing cash flow rich assets, one day that super fund could come knocking. Stop thinking residential. The biggest trap is thinking these are just residential homes. Yes, they are residential houses, but they are also not looked as residential homes. They are not. They generate commercial returns. They are valued like commercial assets, and if structured right, they can exit like commercial portfolios. So stop asking, what is the resale on this 6-bedder in the next 5 years? And start asking, what will the income be? And what's the cap rate institutions will pay for that income? Because that's where the real money is made. Final word, most investors will never think this way. They chase capital growth, follow the crowd and buy negatively geared assets, hoping interest rate drops and the market takes off. But now, after reading this, you know better. Now you understand that yield creates value, income drives growth, and commercial thinking builds wealth. When you partner with the right team, build the right kind of asset, and hold it for the long game, you are no longer investing in real estate. You're building a commercial grade investment portfolio that gets noticed by the big players. And that, my friend, is how you get on the radar of a super fund without ever having to chase one down. So there you go, guys. That is the chapter 14 of my new book, Micro Apartment Millions. It's actually, the book itself is, as you can tell, it's about creating micro apartments and making millions from them. But there's lots of other interesting, very interesting chapters in the book. In fact, I'm going to tell you what they are right now. Chapter 1 is called Why Me and Why This Book. Obviously, I talk about why listen to me and why do you want to read this book. Chapter 2 is called Understanding What You Want from Life and Knowing How to Achieve It. Chapter 3 is called Real Estate, Business and Commodities, talking about the different ways to build wealth on this planet. Chapter 4 is called Beating the Banks at Their Own Game and the Central Banking Digital Coin. Chapter 5 is called Different Ways to Invest in Real Estate and How Many Properties Do You Need to Retire? Chapter 6 is called Creative Financing with OPP, OPM and JVs. And that is other people's properties, other people's money and joint ventures, which will tell you exactly how to get from wherever you are right now to wherever you need to be. And I was having this conversation with someone in my team earlier on, where you can either blame your lack of resources for not getting to your goals, or you can be resourceful. This chapter unlocks that for you. Chapter 7 is called Setting Up Your A-Team. Chapter 8. Whoa, where's chapter 8 gone? Chapter 8 is Co-Living HMOs in Perth and the Future of Property Investing. Excuse me, guys, I've got a very tickly cough. Chapter 9 is different rules and terminology across the country, talking about the different styles of co-living and rooming houses all across Australia. Chapter 10, Design and Construction, talking about the things that you need to consider when designing and building a co-living HMO. Chapter 11, Furniture Pack, Supplies and Installs. Chapter 12, Agreements and House Rules. Chapter 13, How to Find Great Tenants. Chapter 14, Retail Investment Funds and Institutional Investment, that you've just had a little snippet of there. And finally, When and How to Go Pro is chapter 15. So there you have it, guys. The book is going to come out soon. I've actually been doing this at the same time I've been creating a keynote, because I want to get out on the speaking, the speaking gig, the speaking arena, and start talking to more people about what we do, and hopefully getting in front of more of the right people to help take this business and this style of housing to the next level and get the recognition that it deserves. So there you go, guys. Again, would really appreciate if you can give me a quick subscribe on YouTube and leave me a comment and a rating on the podcast platform that you use. Take a screenshot, send it to me, and I will make sure I send you a copy of that book once it is published. And remember, every master was once a disaster. Every winner was once a beginner.
Welcome to the HMO Property Show. By investors, for investors. Catch us weekly as we discuss all things cash flow positive property investing.